Hello, everybody. Welcome. Podcast number 5. It's Bill's Faithful. Look who's to my right, Jameson, and look to his right. That's my brother Tone. We are the Bills Faithful. We're in another week right here. Let us go. We just beat the Broncos last week, and we are here to talk upcoming game. We've got a little bit of talk about the Broncos last week. We're going to talk about Baltimore this coming Sunday, and we have a few other things to give you tonight. It's going to be great. Please, if you could, subscribe and share this with anybody who would love to hear about Bills football because we can't get enough of it. We were just talking for like 10 minutes before this, so it's been great. We're excited about it. So let's get started. Jameson, Tone, let's talk about this past weekend when Denver came in to Highmark Stadium. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was watching the game with James. I was a little nervous. It's like 13,
Yeah.
10-7 there. I think what happened was I think it was Will Lutz kicked that field goal. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going into halftime like this. And it boinked right off the field goal
Yeah.
post, went down. And ever since then, Denver did not score a single point after that. I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys. What did you take away from that game? Give us your thoughts. Tone, I'll start with you first.
Yeah. Opening drive, that bomb they threw, like 40 something yard touchdown. It's like, here we go. Come on. We never get beat over the top. I'm like, you got to be kidding. They definitely brought the juice. They were fired up. They're a young team. They're hungry. It was dangerous there. But I think once we got our feet under us and just realized, I think what's different about this team, they're so much calmer. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that Sugar High Josh Allen thing. I think it was a Kyle Brandt thing. Called him Sugar High Josh,
Yeah.
where he gets really animated and he just feels like I got to do something huge to change this game. We were so patient in that game. There was one throw where Josh could have tried to push it into a window and he threw a check down. I think it was something where we actually ended up punting.
Yeah.
It was a really smart play. I think Tony Romo talked about it on the broadcast, but I just feel like we're so much more in command and we're so much more of a seasoned team. I feel like this year more than any, we're kind of more in that zone of Kansas City or one of these really battle tested teams where, we're not the young pups anymore. We've been there before. And you could see the difference with Denver. Like, I feel like they really got where they were just over their skis. And we just methodically broke them down. And then when we got to that play, that Curtis Samuel touchdown, I don't know if you guys saw that breakdown. Dan Orlovsky went over it too. It was just an amazing route combination that they did. The play that Joe Brady called was awesome. And that just broke the game open. And even at the end, I think if we needed to, we could have thrown another touchdown there with Hollins getting close, but then getting that penalty. So it was domination. The other thing for me, the defense played so much better. I thought they played really well. Really liked what I saw. I actually saw Matt Milano on the field on Sunday. Like, he was Matt Milano. That one third down stop where he caught him on the sideline where it looked like Bo Nix was going to get that first down. Those 3 and outs were so big early in the game, and I was really impressed by the defense.
Yeah. Dame, what about you? What are your thoughts on the past weekend?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought exactly how you said it in the intro. Right after that halftime, we come out, and I think we open up with a touchdown on that opening drive. After that point, I was like, okay, we are a comfortable lead here. We gave up that big bomb, but then our defense tightened up. I think Bobby Babich was ready to go. He's like, okay, I'm not letting that happen again, and they're not going to basically score at all. And that's what happened. And it was just incredible to watch our team come together and rally around our guys. Every single time on that defense, I'm looking at Bernard. He's shouting out guys, communicating to let them put where their spot. He is a leader of that defense, and I saw him come up clutch a lot of the times. And just like you said with Milano too, that's going to be great. I think those two guys are going to be really key for this upcoming game too, and I love that they are just getting better and better. It seems like together as a tandem every game. Totally right with Josh. I mean, another wild card, performance where he's done so amazing. But 20 for 26. I think it was 314, something like that. Total yards, 2 touchdowns. 135 plus passer rating. I mean, just a calm, collected, just surgeon out there, just throwing these balls that need to where they need to go, and not forcing anything. I mean, we're seeing this in statisticals wise too. He's developing so nice as a quarterback. The least amount of turnovers we had in a season for him in a long time. Everyone's biggest knock on Allen was, well, he's got the big plays, but he's also got the big turnovers. Now we just got the big plays and the mediocre plays that get the job done and a lot less turnovers. And it is awesome to see. And that's why we're heading this direction. I think a lot of the wild card games before we would win, but I remember the Colts game was a last minute win to get that one. I think the one game was always close as well. I mean, but this game was 31-7. Is that the final score? I mean, that's
31-7.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And I love that. I love that our team is playing really good and rallying around our leaders right now. And I think our coaches are playing really well as well. Not like playing, but just calling those games and just really being confident in themselves and their players. I think when we were texting during the game, McDermott, we were like, oh, in the past, he might kick that field goal on some of these fourth and shorts. And right now, he's trusting his team. And I love it. I mean, 4th and 1, I see Josh hanging around there. I'm like, okay, well, if we don't get this, whatever. But, I mean, just that Ty Johnson play, maybe a little lucky, but it was incredible and just a highlight reel play. And that's things like that can happen when you have that quarterback. And I think he's realizing, you know what, I'm going to take my odds with this guy each time. And I love where the team is going heading into this week.
I feel like you made some good points, James, especially with I feel like McDermott is really settled down on it, and I like the way he is using his chances. He is really in trusting Josh. Now, I don't know if he didn't trust Josh before, but it is full. He knows he's fully trusting his quarterback, and that is really cool to see. And I agree with you, James. I think that Ty Johnson play, it wouldn't have been my call. I'm like, run the ball, but I was like, are you kidding me? This guy, and then he goes after the thing and he says, Ty Johnson's the best third down back in the league. I'm like, how about that? Like, look at him praise not saying like I had a really good throw there, but like I know he wouldn't do that, but here he is praising his running back. And I feel like when that happens, when Sean does that, when the guys do that, I just feel like they're saying to each other, like, yeah, go do it. We're behind you. Go do what you got to do, and I love that. And add on to your point too, guys. Great takes, by the way. I thought James Cook played a phenomenal game. The running game was really good. I was surprised. I'm not surprised by it, but I thought this would be a game that would require more of Josh. And I'm like, dang, James Cook is running so good right now. Like time of possession. Yeah, so that's big. So to segue into our next topic, as we're talking running the ball, guys, we're going up against probably the second best running back in the league and probably the second best running quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
I need to know your thoughts on this. This game is, in my opinion, probably not going to say the most difficult, because if they can get by this, I'm not saying it's an easy road, but I'll tell you, this is going to be the make or break a game, in my opinion. There is a lot at stake at this game. We're talking about possibly the top 2 quarterbacks in the league. One of them's the MVP. We just don't know which. Going up against each other. It's in Buffalo. It's going to be cold. Guys, I need to talk to you about the keys to the game. What are some things that we need to do to win this game and to send us to an AFC championship against either Houston or Kansas City? I need to know your thoughts. James, I'm going to go right back to you with this. Give me a couple thoughts of what you think of the keys to the game this weekend. Highmark Stadium, 6:30 Sunday night.
Yeah. To start, I think prioritizing, stopping the run's going to be important. Potentially Zay Flowers might not play, and they do have a strong pass attack. I think Bateman can be a little sneaky good, and Likely and Mark Andrews are both very solid tight ends, really good blockers too. But I need to see a key to the game is going to be Milano and Bernard. I talked about them a little bit earlier, but that tandem really needs to be on their A game, I think, visually, to really kind of see watch those read option plays by Lamar. Okay, they need to see where that weight is shifting based off Derrick Henry. Is he going to run to the left, right? Just cutting those angles off, not letting him get to open field is going to be super, super critical, I think, personally. If we can shut down their favorite play and feel like, oh, well, we're playing guessing game too. We don't know if they're going to get it right or not. That's going to leave them feeling like, okay, well, we got to flip the script a little bit of what our offense is going to look like this game, get them off their toes a little bit. That's going to be a really big key for me. And I love going back to that Ty Johnson play. A play like that, I love it. One, because of the highlight reel, but two, you know, when you're say you're a Ravens defensive coordinator, okay, and you're looking at the Bills offense, Ty Johnson's not going to be the name that sticks up to you right away. You got these guys like that Ray Davis catch against the Jets, or that Ty Johnson one there, Curtis Samuel, and that quick elusive move he goes back to cut inside. I mean, those guys, not the big highlight name reels, but it makes you now need to focus on that and your planning and your schedule. And so I think that's going to be really key for us. We're going to need some really good plays from maybe not our big. We don't really have a lot of big names, but just some other those secondary guys. We're going to need them to step up a lot, and I'm hoping for another mistake-free Josh Allen game. If we win the turnover battle, we keep that red zone touchdown efficiency percentage better than them, I think we come out on top. But yeah, those are probably my biggest two takeaways, keys right now. So
yeah, you give Derrick Henry that like room to start going a little bit and getting that speed up. It's a lot tougher. But like you said, James, I think if you can get to him early, let him, not develop that speed. It's easier. I shouldn't say easier. Here I am. I wouldn't be able to take the guy's huge. Would be a lot better for you if you can get to that before that speed develops. So, Tone, give us some keys. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you guys hit on a bunch of them. Here's my thought with the game. My two keys. We have to start fast. We can't play from behind. When we lost to them earlier this year, they got to a fast start. I think the first touch on offense was that Derrick Henry was like 87-yard rush. And then it changed our whole game plan. They just kind of steamrolled us. And to their credit, they played a great game. I just think we weren't ready for it. We got hit in the mouth and couldn't recover. I don't think that's going to happen Sunday. A. Second thing, you make them one-dimensional, right? So, in my opinion, they're the most dangerous when they run, whether it be Derrick or Lamar, obviously with the keepers. I think you really have to have your spy game right. So I'd be interested to see if we mix in some Dorian Williams too because of his speed. So we'll see how they play that on defense. I think if we can make them beat us through the air, especially with Zay Flowers maybe being out, and it sounds like it's doubtful he could play, right? I will put Josh against Lamar any day throwing the ball. Throw the ball back and forth. What makes Lamar sort of special is his running, right? That's really where he can hurt you. I will put Josh up against Lamar any day of the week when it's just passing. So if we can keep them one-to-one passing, we can get a lead. I really think we can. I think we can win this game. I really do. And what I'll say is this has the feeling to me like that divisional round game against Kansas City, the 13-second game we call it now. But everyone said that was the Super Bowl that year. That was the best game of the year. I think this game is the same thing. I think it has all the earmarks of that. I think if we can win this game, I think we can go to the big dance here.
Yeah. I was going to say too, some key people into that, like you had mentioned, Bernard and those guys. And it's so nice because, thinking back to that, was it week 4? The biggest loss in Josh's career, by the way, was 25 points. That's his biggest loss he's ever had. During that time, there were possibly 5 guys that were out, and 4 pretty notable. So to have them back, to have our team be fully stocked is such a nice feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, finally we can like let's all right, now let's see what we can do. We got everybody involved in this game. Let's eat. Let's do what we got to do.
I feel like it's been I feel like it's been the most recent postseason. Have we had a major injury? It feels like every year heading into the postseason. Is this the first time? I feel like, unless I'm forgetting something, but I think every year in the last 4 or 5 years we've had a major injury. It feels like we're finally healthy on defense. I think this year.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you guys remember if we did, but I don't know. It's awesome.
No, I feel like you're totally right. I feel like someone has been out, somebody, and it's usually a pretty big name. Just somebody, and usually it's a cornerback or a safety or a linebacker, and you don't realize how important those pieces are, especially late in the season. You totally are right.
Guys, we had AJ Klein starting at linebacker against the Chiefs last year in the playoffs. I mean, come on.
I know.
That's right. Yeah.
You're totally right.
It's totally different. So if we can have Milano and Bernard healthy, with Taron Johnson, I think was out. We talked about Taron Johnson, Khalil Shakir. I'm missing one more. I know there was another injury, but
Yeah,
it's huge. It's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. I mean, stopping them in those first down runs too. Like if we can catch them in second and longs, where they still might run once in a while, but just I love those more obvious passing situations in our favor. I think that we do have the advantage there.
totally.
Yep.
And offensively, guys, it's nice to have a full lineup. And I was just kind of listening a little bit to some things this morning, and I just had heard this little kind of stat. I don't mean to take away stat of the day from James, but this was kind of cool. We've had 9 different receivers who've had like the highest amount of yards, which is kind of cool. You're talking like Shakir or wherever that stuff is. Did you know that Kincaid is not one of them? Kincaid is not one of them. So I feel like, hey, it's a Kincaid game this weekend. I would love
I
to
like
see
that.
Dalton Kincaid step up and have the most receiving yards on this team. He could be open. I don't know. We'll see what the whole thing is. I'm not, stating whatever, but I'm just saying, you know what? Let's have everybody eat, or I don't care who he gets, but just that's kind of a cool little interesting thing. So
That's awesome.
yeah. Anyway, so that leads us to our third segment tonight, guys. Jameson's stat of the day. I'd like to hear what you have, James. I think it's probably going to be probably awesome, just as it is every week here on the Bills Faithful.
Oh yes, awesome stats. Here we go. I was between a couple. I'm gonna name. It's not really like a singular number kind of thing, but it's more almost like a kind of like a fact, I guess, that I really wanted to highlight. And just Josh Allen. Okay, so he was named to the second team All Pro. If you guys saw that, Lamar was first to the team All Pro and stuff. So Allen is the only quarterback named first or second team All Pro ever in NFL history who didn't have another All Pro teammate. First time ever in NFL history. So that's like the stat, which I thought was just crazy to me. It's like, well, I knew we didn't have any All Pro teams, but I'm like, there's got to be some teams that, amazing quarterback with other amazing players, but just amazing what he's doing. I mean, not that our team is bad, but like, it's crazy. I would thought Dawkins would get it at least or something. And just for, not to bring in the MVP more and stuff, but the Ravens have 6 first and second team All Pro people on their team. So, I mean, it's funny how that is, but I mean, I thought that was crazy and almost a segment to almost another stat of the day, but Allen now has the most playoff games with a higher pass rating of 135 and up. So he got another one this past week. So he's got the most ever, which I thought was cool. So
now that's passer rating.
Josh Allen, 2 couple stack, but passer rating, yeah.
Passer rating.
Yeah, but I was just so shocked. Never ever in NFL history, every quarterback that's first or second team has usually had another All Pro teammate. Not this one. Only
well, he has definitely not been the reason we've lost playoff games. I mean, if you look at his stats playoff wise, it's insane. I mean, take away that Texans loss, right? What was that, 2019?
Yeah.
That, where he throws up that heave-ho to Patrick DeMarco to try to extend the game. I mean, outside of that, unbelievable stats. I'd put those stats up against anybody in the postseason. So I think we just really need I think we finally have the team and the supporting cast around him, even though we might have the least quote unquote roster talent or stars. I think it's the best team that I've seen since he's been here.
Yeah, I don't think it will be Allen's fault that we don't get to the Super Bowl. If the rest of the team and the coaches can call a good game plan, our defense steps up, I think we've got a good shot. He's going to play good.
Agreed.
Awesome. Thank you, James, for the stat of the day, guys. Podcast number 5. Check it out.
Yes.
Subscribe, please, if you could. Last but not least, our weekly, if we keep this going, this is great. We got a little bit of a fact or fiction. It's when I ask these 2 guys what they think of these little statements, if they feel like this is a fact or a fiction, little how they're going at this, and just want to hear their opinions and see what their take is. So, guys, I'll start off with this first one. I have like 3 or 4s, depending on how far we get, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. I'm going to start off with this one. Houston beats the Chiefs this weekend. Fact or fiction?
Jameson goes first.
Houston beats Chiefs. That's what it was.
That's it.
Is that okay? Fiction, and not because I don't think that it can happen. They're a good team. I just don't see Chiefs having that much time off, that much time to game plan. A full healthy Chiefs team, they're not losing that game. I don't like Mahomes, but he's historically great in the divisional round. I don't know if you guys have seen his. He's 6-0 in the divisional round. He's got like a passer rate of like 110. He's never had a turnover in the divisional round in his career. I mean, he plays phenomenal in the divisional round. He's had some hiccups here and there with the championship game, but they've gotten through still, obviously. I don't see them losing that game at all. And I think it's only right that if we were to beat the Ravens, we're going to play them next to get a ticket punch to the Super Bowl. I would love it. I'd love to host the AFC Championship game if we win. But I'm going to go fiction. Yeah, I don't think they lose that game.
Tone, do you feel the same?
I'm not going fiction. I'm going science fiction. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. I'm sorry. The Texans are kind of a pretender to me. I think even last week it was like you're playing a Chargers team that hasn't been there. Herbert played horrible.
Yeah.
Now, there is something to say about DeMeco Ryans and his defense, because if you look at some of those games against good quarterbacks like Josh, I mean, he had us kind of confounded on our offense. We came back towards the end. We should have won that game, but he plays quarterbacks tough.
Yeah.
I think Patrick has seen too much of that, and Andy Reid's too good of a coach. I don't really think there's any kind of shot there. And I'm surprised the spread isn't bigger, to be honest with you.
Sounds good. I hope you guys are wrong. We have this on record,
Me
so
too.
let's just go back to it, and we would love 5 days from now to be able to look back at this. But thanks, guys. That is your fiction then on that one. Guys, a second statement, I should say, fact or fiction. This weekend will come down to coaching. Fact or fiction?
In the Bills game specifically?
Bills game specifically.
Okay.
Harbaugh, McDermott.
So I think I'll go first, Jameson.
Sure.
I'll say fact for the reason when you have this close of talent against two teams that are just juggernauts, I think the margins are so thin that it's going to come down to a few choices by the coach. What I will say is I feel the most confident I've ever felt about Sean's coaching, especially that last game. The thing that really resonated with me is we didn't kick that field goal and we went for it on 4th down and went for that touchdown and went for the kill. That old Sean McDermott kicks that field goal 99% of the time. And I loved that call. It's really showing me I have a lot more trust in Sean right now. So I will say fact, but I feel confident if it does come down to that.
Great take. James, what do you think? Fact or fiction?
I'm going to go with fact as well. It almost seems like with all the pieces on each team, it feels like it's like a chess match, and I kind of want to stretch a little bit and even say like the coordinators, if they consider, I know you said Sean and Harbaugh, but like, I think if the play callers, the coordinators, if it's going to come down to them as well, see, kind of get a feel for the game. I think if Joe Brady calls a great game and Babbage does too, I like our odds. If they don't call a great game and they call a great game, it's going to be tight. So I think it is going to come down to those play calling, those decision making, those 4th and 1. Is it a long 4th and 1? Is it a 4th and short? Josh snowplow? Like, what is it going to be? What are we going to decide? And which coach is going to kind of be more patient and more willing to take risks and stuff. It's going to be interesting to watch for sure. But I'm going to go with fact there. It's going to come down to that.
That's a good call too. When you think about, I'll take Babbage and I'll take Brady right now over anybody. The way they've been calling games, I mean, you're always going to have some issues in there where things happen. Whatever, the Houston game or whatever that may be. Baltimore, like Tony said, just getting Baltimore getting out to such a fast start, and then you're trying to play comeback football, and that's hard to do. So their schemes and their like preparedness, I am so on board with them. They deserve accolades after this. I would hate to lose either one of our offense or defensive coordinators because I just think they're doing a great job. So good take on that one. Last but not least, guys, Josh Allen will have more rushing yards than Lamar this Sunday. Fact or fiction? Jameson.
I'm gonna go with fact here, and I can be kind of swayed, I think, both ways. But I'm gonna go with fact here. I think the Ravens. Um, I don't think it's gonna be a 25 plus. Almost like 80% of the time, we're just seeing Lamar run and pass all over us. I think it is going to be very split with Henry, and I think we'll use Cook in our running back committee a lot, but I think it's going to be more heavily on Josh for our offense than it is more heavily on Lamar for their offense. There's going to be, I think, a big run for Lamar at some point. Not 50 plus yards, I hope, but I think there'll be like a 20-yard run there. That's just bound to happen. But I think over time, with Josh's third and short plays, he likes to go outside the pocket and stuff and make some plays little by little. I think at the end he'll have a higher total. It's kind of a random guess, but I think he will based off the schemes and stuff. But we'll see.
Good take, Tone. What do you think? Fact or fiction on that?
I'm going to say fiction, but what I'm going to say is Lamar will win the rushing, but we'll give him that because Josh is going to throw 300 plus yards this weekend. I really feel confident in Josh. You know, I think, like we talked about that bringing a knife to a gunfight thing, I think Josh is going to outclass Lamar through the air. I really do. I just think that, you know, like that play with Curtis last week, the design with that, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the last several weeks when we were playing, we were very vanilla with a lot of our offensive scheme. I think Joe's opening up that playbook, and I think you're going to see some cool stuff. I really do. And I think it's going to be the cool thing about our offense that I love. It's like playing Bills bingo and saying, who's it going to be this week?
Right.
Last week, Curtis Samuel had an awesome week. He's been nowhere all year. Before, it's been Ty Johnson on those linebackers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
James Cook, other games, a lot of games, James Cook. I just really think that we're going to play that roulette. Someone else is going to come up. Maybe it's Cooper. Maybe it's Keon. I don't care who it is, but I really feel good about our game through the air this week, and I think we're gonna have that dominance in the air this week.
Awesome take, guys. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it will come down to Josh's arm. He will run. I love it when he runs. I think it just fires him up inside. I think our O-line is going to be jacked up this weekend. And I'll tell you what, Bills Mafia better bring it. Being the fourth and final game this weekend, guys. We will know who we're playing if we win. So, I mean, we have that's going to be kind of interesting too. So, you got Chiefs in Houston on Saturday. I don't know who else plays Saturday, but I think it's Detroit probably.
Detroit at night. Yep.
Yeah. So
I have a question for you guys before we wrap up.
Sure.
So from across the NFL last week, because obviously that we weren't the only game, what was your most surprising thing from the weekend? Jamie, what do you think, man?
Honestly, I was surprised Washington. Tampa Bay division, I know it's not that great, but I thought Tampa Bay had a really good team. I thought they had a pretty good running game, and Baker was playing really well. To see Jaden Daniels as a rookie play as well as they did, I thought was really kind of cool. I like that. But I think I was talking to Jameson about this. I was like really surprised at how dominant the top seeds are. How well they came out. I was like, wow, there's not really any close games. Washington was the closest game, and that was kind of crazy. So I was surprised with the Rams, but I'll tell you, man, I would never want to play those guys. What's been happening with them, especially with the LA Fires, and and Sam Darnold's a bust. Okay, that's it.
I know. I was surprised too. It's like you look back when they introduced the 7 seed plays a 2 seed and no more 2 buys, and there's only been one 7 seed winner. It just feels like, it gives you more games, but it's just, I know they want viewership in the close games, but really, I know the Bills have had a couple close wildcard games and whatever, but I don't know. It just wasn't too. You definitely see the cream of the crop in the NFL after the weekend. I was a little shocked by the Chargers, to be honest with you. I thought they were due for a win. I think Justin Herbert is very talented. I thought, new coach, defense was, looking really well. This Lad McConkey guy is really good at receiver. And I just thought, they put on a show, and Herbert really just more interceptions in that game than the whole season. It was just a really disastrous.
That was crazy.
It was, that really shocked me. I think none of their other results, I felt confident in us beating the Broncos. I mean, obviously now we're more confident we won, but in the time I was confident we beat them. Same with the teams that did win, probably. But besides the Texans and Chargers, I was kind of leaning actually when I was doing like a little bracket, kind of like March Madness. I picked Commanders to win. I picked Rams to win. I wasn't shocked by those, but the Chargers, I picked Chargers to win. I really thought they'd beat the Texans, and that's kind of what shocked me. I mean, if you're a Chargers fan, that's hard seeing your franchise quarterback throw 4 picks, in the second playoff game. But
yeah, that was the stat of the weekend for me. Him throwing 4 picks versus 3 all year. That was crazy. My surprise of the weekend was when I watched the Packers-Eagles game and how flat the Eagles looked to me. I'm telling you what, they're on upset alert times 1,000 this week. The Rams, I'm the same with you, Jamie. I do not want to play the Rams.
I know.
In a dome, no thanks. And if they get past Philly and play Detroit in a dome, I mean, that's a track meet. If they have everyone healthy, they're scary. And McVay is a great coach.
Yes, he is.
I think they might be kind of that upset track in the NFC. They're dangerous, man. I mean, obviously I'm a little bit biased because they beat us. Now, they played a perfect game when they beat us. They didn't make any mistakes. And I would venture to say, playing them again, having seen them already, and seeing their absolute best, we can beat them, right? So I think I'd still feel confident. But I'm just telling you, I really think they have a legitimate shot to the NFC Championship. Mm-hmm. They might have a good shot then, too, to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
It is. Thanks, guys. And that is our podcast number 5, guys. For everybody out there, please subscribe. Thank you for joining us. And if you like this, or if you could just share it with somebody else, that'd be great. We love it. We'd appreciate it. And guys, once again, great takes. Thank you. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Hey, guys, go Bills.
All right.